appreciate you jumping on, man. Because like I said, the Wizards is definitely a really cool device.
Thank you.
So, to be able to use it. I mean, the funny thing is I told AJ today, I was hoping we've been, we still have the GFXs and stuff, and we still utilize those. But I told him that I was really, not we, he has actually started a spreadsheet where we log a lot of our batteries and we kind of periodically keep checking them and stuff. And I told him, I said, not that I want to throw the GFXs away, but I want to start using this as the primary device. And I said, it would have been really cool if we had that spreadsheet done that I could have screen shared it onto this. But he's like, yeah, he's like, we could do the spreadsheet quick. He's like, but to do all the batteries, we couldn't do that quick. I'm like, yeah, I know. Delayed thinking on our end. So, but we're going to try to start doing these more periodically so we can definitely show it at a later date for sure.
Sounds good.
What's up, Troy? Now, Andrew, can you see on your end the comments that people are writing?
I do not see anything.
If you look, I'm not sure. I can't remember. If you
Oh,
look
this
all
is
the way
Troy.
to the right.
All right. Troy says, "What's up, guys?" Hi, Troy.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So just so in case any of the questions that are directed to you, you can see them. I don't have to read them to you, whatever have you. But yeah, guys, give it a couple minutes. We'll let some guys jump on. It's been a while. We got Mr. Andrew. How do you pronounce your last name?
Sarratore.
Okay, I was very close, but not exact. So I'm glad that I asked.
All right. It's Italian, and you're really supposed to pronounce the vowel at the end of it. So it's Sarratore.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I used to work at an Italian restaurant years and years ago, and they're from Positano, Italy, and they, yeah, they, their accents carried very strong. So, like I said, guys, we'll give it just a hot minute. We got Andrew, the designer, the creator, the myth himself with the battery wizard. Mr. Mobile, actually, if you guys see the light shining through, that's not just his knowledge, but that's actually the sun itself as he's driving down the road
Yeah,
or
my wife's
riding
driving.
down the road.
Yeah, we're coming back from Indianapolis. We are celebrating my granddaughter's birthday today.
You don't look old enough to have a granddaughter.
Oh, thank you.
I mean,
Uh,
that's a good problem. Times they definitely are changing real quick.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm still old though.
I mean, it seems like ever since COVID hit, I mean, and thank God it's behind. Well, I don't want to say it's behind us, but I believe it's behind us. It seems like I lost the whole track of time.
Yeah. I still went to work every day during that whole thing. I worked at that point in time. I was working as the sole systems engineer for a factory, for a brake factory, actually. So yeah, that was fun. It was considered what was the essential business. So I got to go to work every day. I did not get those furloughs or that time off that other people were able to enjoy.
Yeah, at that time I was still working. I was still working at Trinity, and I don't want to pass it off as if Ernie was forceful, but just working for him for years, I kind of established the same work mentality where we worked. I mean, um, I actually one time I called Dakota and he didn't answer. He didn't answer. I'm like, oh, the guy's probably out on his boat, and he finally called me back, and he's like, "Dude, I'm sick as a dog. I can barely walk." And I was with him the week before, and I wasn't feeling the greatest. So he's like, "I got COVID." I'm like, "Oh, great." So I masked up, and I was like, "Guys, stay away from my office. I'm gonna go get tested." So,
Yeah, fun
but
times.
yeah, right.
So
So just
before
kind of
I know that uh, I, I'm the designer, right? But I did have
sure.
a very strong push from a fellow racer who really gave me a nudge to make this product, and I bet you know who it is.
Is it Jason?
It's definitely Jason,
Yep.
Mr. Jason
Yep.
Chang. He was like, he really didn't leave me alone on it either. He was like, dude, just make it, just make it, just make it.
Yeah, just like it's gonna fall out of the sky.
I know. That's what I kept telling him. I was like, this is harder than you think, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the idea of creating something like that is one thing. The concept of putting it together to actually fruition is like a completely different. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but
I got a good 5 months wrapped up into it. So
well, I mean, like I said, we got the we I got the privilege to chat with you a couple it was a couple months ago now, and you were, I mean, I think we chatted for a couple hours, and the whole time you were sitting there doing some testing and whatnot, and you've been plugging away with it ever since. So but all right, we got a good amount of people on here now. Sorry guys, I'm actually kind of trying to bounce back and forth from two computers. I wasn't thinking correctly, and I actually put the program or where it's streaming from on my screen that's not facing the camera. So uh, bear with me. I apologize for that. So I'll be looking back and forth, but it's been a while, guys. It's been too long, honestly. I used to love doing these videos, even though they're not always the best. But um, this one should be really good. We got Andrew, the battery wizard himself, as you can see, um, his backdrop. And Andrew is currently riding passenger. He's traveling, so for him to be able to make this work, Andrew, I really appreciate it. Um, but I've had a lot of guys. Obviously, we kind of, I wouldn't say partnered up, but we purchased some of your units, and you were nice enough to put the Exalt logo on the front of them, which they turned out beautiful. I thank you very much for that.
that was pretty
But
good.
yeah, no, they do. I mean, the workmanship you do from top to bottom is definitely 100% quality. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I'd love to see stuff that you could do in the future, because I mean, to kind of break through with this product, I think it was honestly a great. I mean, you kind of hit right out of the park with it. I mean, I've had a couple people ask me what I think personally of the unit, and I mean, like we were saying earlier, you can always nitpick, but realistically, it does everything that you really need it to and more, honestly. So what I mean, so where did the whole topic, or well, we already kind of established that Jason Chang is the pain in the rear end that caused this whole creation, but I mean, kind of share with everybody your investment in this, because I know that you and I've talked about it, like I said, in the past, and I can only imagine what you've got into this without even receiving a dollar back.
Uh, yeah. So like I said, it took me uh, it's a little over 5 months, a little under 6 months total between when I first started sitting down designing it and when it actually was finished. When I was actually able to start making them and getting them out to the people who were nice enough to pre-order them. Um, Yeah, so a lot of that time was spent prototyping the hardware. I mean, you start out with development boards and stuff like that, and you start out on breadboarding, things together, and then then you realize the breadboard's not going to work anymore because the current you're trying to pass is way too much for breadboards, and then you start making like you know uh, basically like PCBs that you're able to like solder the traces on yourself. And then I think I have YouTube videos out there with the actual first design where I actually had a custom PCB made for me. Um, like I didn't have enough MOSFETs to start with, right? I had to have more MOSFETs, and then just tons and tons of coding changes to the software to make it, try to get it more for user friendly. I tried to
Hmm.
make it easy to navigate as I could. Not really sure if I succeeded on that. I think it's pretty easy, but uh, some people I have I have had to point out instruction manual to some people because they weren't able to navigate it. So
Sure.
uh, but yeah, I mean, I be honest with you. So I work a normal I work a normal day job. So I have a normal job that I work 50 hours a week, and then on top of that, I'm putting in, you know, 40 hours a week on the Battery Wizard. So
Yeah.
for pretty much 6 months, I work 90 hours a week.
Well, I mean, I can only imagine what that what that entails. I mean, yeah, no, I mean, I had the privilege. Thank you to you and to Zach for allowing me to utilize, which I still need to do a post on my opinion of the Battery Wizard. But obviously, if we have them on our website, um, I think that means I think very highly of them. Um, it blows my mind that the GFX from Competition Electronics, anyone that's got those, you fire those things up. I would almost bet 90% of the people using them nowadays, that date at the bottom is going to be um, older than their birth date, you know? And so, for you to finally create, and when I say you, I should say, when for somebody to finally create a device that is comparable but actually exceeds a lot of what the GFX does, um, hallelujah, because they're you can't get parts for them anymore. They're becoming very disposable, unfortunately, which is a sad thing to think about. But you speak to any OG racer, the GFX was the creme de la creme and the go-to device. And now we've kind of migrated over to eye chargers and such, where that's kind of where I thought the perfect idea of bringing you on would be to kind of answer questions that customers may have, where they can obviously anyone that wants to purchase it off of Team Exalt they can, or um, do you have your own website, or is everything that you do channeled through DRC?
Oh, I have my own website,
Okay,
wmhracing.com.
okay. And because I know that, I mean, obviously I talk very frequently with Zach over at DRC and whatnot, and he was the one that kind of introduced me into what you guys were working on. And like I said, I got the privilege to play with one, and I've taken it to a couple events when it was the prototype version, and I think it's a phenomenal device. When it comes to RC user, that I think that's where some people they say it's a little pricey. I'm like, well, you don't know the time that's invested in this device that you have invested into this, along with the people that need it or want it. Um, it's affordable, for the guys that don't. Maybe it's not for them, but um, can you share in your educated mindset what the whole design of the Battery Wizard does and everything, and maybe we can kind of clear up some information that these customers have with comparing it to an eye charger, because quite frankly, I don't think it's a comparison. It's two completely different entities.
Yes. So yes, the iCharger and the Battery Wizard are there. I use them for separate things, right? So I use the
Hmm.
iCharger charge. I use the Battery Wizard to sorry, one second. I'm having a technical
No, you're
difficulty.
good, bud.
I'm running on low power, and I gotta get this Mac plugged back in. So just bear with me for one second.
No, no, you're good, man. While Andrew's
Oh, sorry.
plugging himself back up,
My wife's gonna
I'll
handle
kind of go
this.
through some questions.
I can go ahead and talk. All right. So yes, uh, I'm sorry. So the iCharger and the Battery Wizard. So if you're looking to find out your battery performance, how the numbers that it actually has, how good your batteries are, the iCharger just can't tell you that information. You can
Hmm.
do discharge cycles on the iCharger and get how many milliamps are left in the battery, but actually getting the performance characteristics, you can't, because while the iCharger does do a graph, if you hook it up to your computer, it takes 30 seconds to get to 30 amp discharge rate, whereas the battery was
Okay.
about 2 seconds to get to 30 amp discharge rate. So you are getting like that actual discharge curve right from the get go with the Battery Wizard. So if you're looking for that 30 amp discharge curve because you're running mod touring car, and you average 30 amps during the run, so you do a 30 amp discharge, and you're going to get the performance characteristics of your battery. So you got the milestones, right? So how long the battery stays above 8 volts, how long the battery stays above 7.9 volts, how long it stays
Yep.
above 7.8 volts. Uh, and then you can actually see the graph, which I think is actually kind of cool. um,
Oh, I definitely utilize the graph, even though, just like you said, it only tells you the 3 milestones on the graph. But I mean, I use that because just the tapering of the bars is a visual that kind of really helps you out to tell when you're discharged, how it curves out, I guess you could say.
Sorry, hold on one second.
Nope, you're good, bud. All right. While Andrew's doing this, I'm gonna just read some of the comments. Mr. Bullfrog is on. I appreciate you guys. Uh-oh. I think we lost Andrew for a hot minute. Sorry, guys. I wasn't really 100% clear with Andrew when I asked him if he'd get on.
I'm
He was
still
traveling. Oh, you're
I,
still there?
I'm still here. I just shut my camera
Okay.
off for a second so I could save save some battery.
Oh no, you're good, bud. I was just telling everybody that was on that I didn't really kind of clarify that this was a more of a video than it was just like a podcast. So the fact that you're making this work, um, I much appreciate it. So I'm just kind of just going over some of the comments and the hellos as we sit here. Like I said, guys, it's been a while since I've done this. We're gonna do more of them, and we're gonna improve every time. And I know that next time to put my camera or put my computer that faces the camera. So not that I am turning my shoulder on you. I am just reading the comments. Mr. Trimberg,
I bet you it doesn't work because that doesn't work.
Mr. Benizia is on.
No,
We got the 10-minute national champ Kyle Go on here.
all right. Sorry, I got to charge it now. So I
Nope,
see
you're good, bud.
comments that Jeff is asking if the Battery Wizard requires its own 12-volt power supply. It can run from a power supply feeding the iCharger. Absolutely. The Battery Wizard in and of itself doesn't actually use that much current. It doesn't use that much power. It doesn't put a very big load on your power supply. So you got the two fans in the discharge bank, which are, I think, half an amp fans. And then the Battery Wizard itself draws less than half an amp. So you can run it from the same charger that you're running the iCharger, or same power supply you're running the iCharger.
Yeah, when I took it trackside, I operated everything off of the same power supply, and that's when I was telling you that a couple customers had asked me if it was a charging device and whatnot, and that's when I basically stated with them that um, this device is completely separate from an iCharger. That it is more so from a battery logging standpoint, where you can, just like you said, log your milestones from your discharge. And I mean, you really kind of, when you said that you utilized all the memory and whatnot, I mean, you really did. For the people that haven't got to play with one, um, I mean, the fact that, Andrew, that you got it in there that you can even match your voltage to your iCharger, where you can just adjust it, I thought was a really nice touch, honestly, because uh, as minimal as that may sound, I think that's something that can take a product and really elevate it above its above its uh, uh, competition, really, because not all batteries come off at the same voltage. So to be able to have that ability to match it, I thought was a really great feature that you had added to the device.
Thank you. There was one of my
So I mean,
sorry.
no,
Anyway,
go
one of
ahead.
my favorite features, a guy named Sam requested, and that was the time discharges. So you can, with 15-second increments, you can choose a time discharge up to 8 minutes.
Well, see, and that was something that I'm glad that you actually touched on that, because I haven't got to actually play with the time discharge. I've only done based off of amperage and then log the data that way. But I know a lot of oval guys, they do it off of timed data. So I mean, the Sam character might actually be an oval guy, because I know a lot of our oval guys, that's the way that they discharge their batteries and they log their information is based off of a timed cycle instead of a amperage base.
Right.
So that's something new that I want to mess with too. So I mean, is there anything that you can kind of share that maybe even educates myself, so that I'm not so wet behind the ears when I play with that aspect?
With the time discharge, to be honest, I just go with the time that I use for track time. So if
Okay.
I run 5-minute heats, I do a time discharge for 5 minutes. I've not had any issues with that whatsoever. I just set the default voltage cutoff at 3.6 volts and do a 5-minute run, and that is my standard. Every battery wizard that goes out has that ran on it at least twice, because during the testing, I make sure that that they work, calibration of them and everything, and they have that process ran through them twice at 20 amps. Which I think is good for stock. But I can tell people, one of the biggest things that you do need to take into consideration when you use this device, because you are using it for performance monitoring, you need to make sure that your testing procedure is the same every time. So it's very important to have batteries at the same temperature, because if you just like run a battery on the battery wizard and discharge it and then charge it back up and then discharge it again, you're going to get different numbers the second time, and that's because the battery temperature has actually gone up, and you're going to get better numbers that second time because the IR of the battery goes down.
Sure.
So you need to be careful and make sure that if you're using this and testing your batteries and comparing them to each other, do it at the same temperature. Heated lipo sleeves are great for that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I actually had a customer that reached out to us, and he said, when you were talking to me about this particular battery, you're telling me to expect IRs in this range, and I'm seeing IRs in a much higher range. And it was with our 5200 LCG, and I basically stated to him, I said, listen, I said, I'm not telling you to pound this battery extremely hard or anything of that such. I personally do 20 amp charge and a 40 amp or 45 amp discharge. Um, I said, but what I also do is I monitor my battery temperature as well. And if you take a battery that like, I mean, I got a kind of a funny story, to kind of touch on this. Years ago when we were at a regional race, and when the regionals really meant a lot more than what they did. I had a kid that was racing for us, and his best friend was a racer for Phantom at the time. And back in the day, Trinity and Phantom had that heads up kind of deal. Um, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to lower the resistance of my motor." So he stuck his whole car in a freezer. And I was like, "Oh yeah, go ahead, yeah, do that. That'll lower the internal resistance of your motor." Well, the guy did it with his battery as well. His battery was in the car and everything. So I mean, a lot of people don't understand that the temperature is a huge thing that you need to factor in when testing batteries back to back, like you're touching on.
Right. So Jeff has a question on can I explain the IR reading? I would gladly explain the IR reading. How technical you guys want me to get? um, so this measures IR using a load-based IR test. I don't know how the Turbo 35 does it, or the Turbo 30 GFX. I've never actually used one of those. So I can't really compare with that, but I can tell you that this is a load based. So what I do, or what the Battery Wizard is going to do, is it puts approximately a 10 amp load on the battery. Well, first it takes and it measures the voltage of the battery, and then it puts a 10 amp load on the battery, and it waits half a second, and then it measures the voltage again, and then it takes the difference of the voltage, so the resting voltage versus the load voltage, and divides that by the current to get you internal resistance, just using Ohm's law. And then it does this 3 times in a row and averages the result, and that is your IR. Now, I try to, when searching for that, how long to wait, how long should I pause, how long should I give the battery, how long should I give it under load before I actually measure that voltage under load. And that was kind of the biggest hurdle for doing this. And I chose the half a second. It gave the most stable results. If you wait a quarter second, your IR results are actually going to look a little bit better, but half a second gave more stable results, so it was more repeatable. And so that's the reason why I chose that amount of time.
Well, and that's the thing. I wanted to. Like I said. I mean, I was really hoping. I got a little bit busier today than I was expecting. I was really hoping to be able to get some screen shares of the unit, because some customers have asked, a lot of much detailed information on the unit itself, and it's so hard to, unless you have it right in front of them, to be able to do it. I mean, honestly, I think what you got is the best thing, and I'll definitely push a lot of the guys to the YouTube videos on your YouTube page and whatnot, because yeah, I mean, I everyone is so focused on motors, the internal resistance of the motors and such, and I'm not saying that doesn't matter, because it absolutely does, but I have been to several hobby shops where customers have they have chosen to go the cheaper route of a battery, and we're talking it can be as simple as 99 cents, and the performance difference of that battery versus another battery is astronomical. So I mean,
yeah, sorry, I get what you're saying. You've been tuning motors for how long?
I mean, it's been about 10 years.
Right. And I've been tuning motors. And I got some dynos and everything like that. I will tell you, with 100%, I can take my best motor of a motor, of a specific motor, and my worst motor of that same for example, like a certified and a off the shelf Trinity, and there's a
Hmm.
difference there, right? There is more of a difference with the battery. Absolutely, 100%. Batteries make more of a difference than the motors.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, and that's where it's not that I feel that we have the best motor on the market. I'm not simply stating that. I do believe that we have brought a product to the table that's a great product and it's highly competitive. But I work more hand in hand with our battery manufacturer than I do our motor manufacturer, simply just because um, things change in a blink of an eye on the battery technology and the performance of all these batteries. Um, and what I would really like to do is bring a level of consistency where you can pull two batteries off of the shelf, and you're not going to see a huge difference between A and B. Um, but unfortunately, there's no way around it. You're gonna find better or worse. So that's where, for a company standpoint, your device is honestly um, a a remarkable device. And like I was saying earlier, to be able to finally, not that the GFX is not a comparable device or anything, but these boards are dating back to the 80s. So you think how many charges and how many cycles have these boards been seeing since the 80s? Um, they're
You know,
not they're not holding up too much more. They're pretty fragile.
yeah, I mean, the fact that those actually lasted for as long as they did, I mean, they were built well. I mean, they
Yeah.
had to be built well because electronics degrade over time.
Hmm. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I agree 100%. I mean, I've got a drawer full of them, and sad thing is most of them are not even functional. But maybe I might need a part off of one day, so I just don't dispose of them. And anytime I see somebody put one up for sale, I try to snag it, just for the simple fact that up to the battery wizard, there was really no device that really matched what you have designed to kind of replace the GFX per se.
Uh,
So,
let's see. Mike was asking, can it be hooked up to the iCharger to do cycle for stock? No, it cannot be actually. Are we talking the actual discharge box, or are we talking the battery wizard unit itself? If you're actually talking the discharge box, that depends on the iCharger you have. Um, Long story on that, really. Originally, when I designed the external discharge box for the battery wizard, my goal was to make it compatible with the iCharger, and I saw no reason that it couldn't be compatible with the iCharger. Reading through iCharger's documentation, instruction manual, I saw absolutely no reason. But then it didn't work, and so I contacted iCharger and I opened up a support case with them. And they released newer firmware, and my discharge box will work with the iChargers. Um, but it's kind of a pain. You got to get the newer firmware, and not all the chargers have it. So it's kind of I you know, so it works with some, it doesn't work with others. So I can't officially say it supports it, right? Um,
sure.
but uh, but the battery wizard, you can't hook that up to the iCharger.
Yeah, see, I
Um,
mean, and I mean, and I think you've pretty much have answered it, but for anyone that might have just caught on, I mean, there's I mean, Andrew, there's been a lot of comparisons to the battery wizard, the iCharger with a discharge bank. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions that a lot of people um, aren't really grasping is that the battery wizard is not a charging device. It is strictly just a discharging device to monitor runtime, internal resistance, as you were stating earlier, and kind of just what you're talking about. You have a visual graph that um, does display on a touch LED screen. I mean, is there anything else that I'm missing that kind of that you can share with anybody? Because, like I said, I'm still new to this unit as well.
no, I mean, For comparisons to it, you have the discharge rate. So for a 2S battery, you can discharge from 1 amp to 45 amps. A 1S battery, you can do a 1 amp to 30 amp discharge. You can do a 35 amp discharge, and it'll go for about 3 minutes holding 35 amps, and then the amperage will start to lessen. So you'll notice it'll go to like 34 amps, 33 amps, 32 amps. And the reason being, I don't know how technical I want to get on this, but the discharge bank is, I mean, it's just a resistive load, right? And so it's dropping the battery voltage across that load to, create the discharge. And on a 1S battery, as the voltage goes down on the 1S battery, it just doesn't produce as big a load on that bank anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why it won't hold 40 amps for 8 minutes, where on the 2S batteries it's got well enough voltage. So technically, because that's actually using PWM, it's hitting 80 amps at a time with a 2S battery, but it's only hitting 80 amps. Like how your ESCs do PWM frequency, and you have full throttle on for part of it and then off to determine, like if you're running at half throttle, you got like full throttle for 50% of the time and half throttle for 50% of the time, right? So or not zero throttle for 50% of the time. That gives you your 50%, right? Well, the battery wizard does the same thing. So it's technically hitting your 2S batteries at around 80 amps, which is, I did that on purpose to help simulate more of the motor, what the motor load actually does to the battery.
Sure. I mean, and the AJ who works in the office with me, he's huge into drag racing. Yes. I mean, he's actually going to the Super Chips race in I believe it's in Oklahoma this weekend. But when I first got the prototype, I told him, or one of the prototypes that he sent out, I told him, I said, I don't want you hooking a drag battery up. I don't care if it's 7.4 volts or anything until I get clarification that it can be utilized on this. What, I mean, with the device being as tiny as it is, I'll actually go grab the head unit here in 1 second to kind of show the racers and the people that are on. Is there a time limit when this thing finally just times out from logging data?
So yes, there are time limits for logging data, and it's different from the test unit I sent you. So I kind of fixed some of that stuff in the software. So for the graph will log for up to 8 minutes. Time discharges will go for up to 8 minutes. The raw data voltage will log for up to 20 minutes with the newest software I've just made. And after 20 minutes, it'll just keep discharging until you hit the cutoff voltage. So if you want to discharge a drag pack, it can discharge it.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the biggest things. Sorry, I went to go grab it. So basically, here is the unit. I mean, and it's. Do you know the dimensions off the top of your head by any chance?
Oh.
I mean, it's as you can see in my hand. I mean, it's a much. I mean, I'm holding an 8-scale motor up next to it. I mean, so it's not a very big unit at all. It's very compact, to be quite frank.
That's because the discharge circuit, that's only the circuitry, right? The actual.
Yeah. This is just the interface board or whatever you want to call it. I mean, this is just one piece of the puzzle, but this is kind of your
brains.
Base unit, correct?
Yes.
So, I mean, but yeah, that was one of the biggest things that I was afraid. I didn't know if it was going to affect this or damage it by any means, and whatnot. But we've actually had a lot of people that have reached out to us asking us as far as in reference to drag batteries.
Yeah. So you're not going to hurt the unit. I'm really not sure how long is it going to take to discharge? What are drag packs, like 15,000 milliamps? How big
Yeah,
are they?
they're finally going. They're finally dwindling down, and they're you know, when drags first got going, they were, geez Louise. I mean, I think we had a prototype battery that was 21,000 milliamps or something
Oh
like
wow.
that. Yeah, it was ridiculous. And now they're down to 10,000, 7,000 milliamps.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
know, because
those are no
they're getting
problem
the
at
weight
all.
down.
I know I have not stretched it, but I think I think Nick Bell said that he tried to break one by discharging drag packs at 45 amps, and he wasn't able to break it. So
Well, leave it to Nick. Nick's going to definitely push the limits. You know, I mean, for sure. I'm glad it was him and not. I'm glad it was him and not one of us.
all right, so we have
um,
Jim has a question. What's the difference between this and a BD 250? So that's the Sky RC, I think. Yeah.
yeah, I believe it is.
I've never used any of the Sky RC dischargers, um, and I have not really studied what the BD 250 does. But I will tell you, they are linear dischargers. I had to make a decision when I first started designing this, if I wanted to go the linear discharge rate or if I wanted to go the PWM discharge rate. I chose PWM for two reasons. One, it's easier on the MOSFETs, and two, I was really trying to simulate motor load on the batteries instead of just a linear load on the battery. So a MOSFET, the linear discharge rate is just going to use the MOSFETs to sink the current. The MOSFETs act as, well, they basically act as variable resistors. Okay. And they do all the current seeking, and you have to have massive heat sinks to cool off the MOSFET. Otherwise, they'll go into thermal runaway. And and if you do it the right way, the MOSFETs are really expensive. They're like $35 a piece to get actual MOSFETs designed for linear discharging, because you're not supposed to use hex FETs.
Hmm.
Uh, so I decided to go the PWM route, where you can use the same MOSFETs that we use in our ESCs, or the same type of hex FETs, because then the MOSFET's just acting as a switch, and it's passing the current through it. It's not actually doing the discharging itself. The current's just going through it. It's just acting as a switch, switching on and off. And like I said, since we're already doing that with our ESCs, the idea was to better simulate the load of a motor. So there is going to be one big difference between a Sky RC BD250 and the Battery Wizard. And actually, it's going to be one of the differences between any of the dischargers you see on the market. Even the Turbo 35s are, they did linear discharging. I know there's another discharger out there that does linear discharging. To my knowledge, my unit is the only unit that uses PWM to discharge. And then also, uh, the Battery Wizard has the milestones, the time discharges, and the graph, which I do not believe the Sky RC has.
Yeah, I went right around Snowbird's time. I was wanting to jump on one of those Sky RCs. Just to, like I said, I mean, one of the things that I feel is something that we should do as manufacturers is always keep trying to elevate and raise the bar. And Sky RCs, I mean, they're a huge entity, and
Oh, they
um,
are.
I've yeah, I've heard a lot of um, good, bad, ugly of that unit, and I had a couple close friends that got them, and they did not dislike it by any means. But um, actually, I saw Jason Chang at the Snowbirds, and he said just kind of pump the brakes a little bit. I know somebody's got something in the works. I think it's going to be a little bit better than what you will capture with a Sky RC discharger and whatnot. And like I said, I can't knock that at all because I still have yet to put my hands on one of those and see what it does and what it doesn't do. But I can honestly say that for anyone out there that wants to be able to discharge and compare your batteries and find out what batteries are better, in your stable, this is definitely a great unit to have. But let's be clear that it is not a charging unit. This is literally just for um, data logging and comparative testing from one battery to another, and whatnot. Hence why I think it's great for manufacturers to have this. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see more interaction with other manufacturers if you aren't already.
I have actually had a couple European manufacturers reach out to me. We're still working on uh, the logistics of getting these overseas.
Yeah,
So
international logistics is not fun.
no, no, it's not.
I mean, if a company could deal with just staying in our own stable in the states, it would be nice. But unfortunately, it's nice to branch out into the international land, and it sounds great until you have to deal with the logistics side of it.
Yeah, and I mean that's not saying that European people can't purchase it.
Sure.
I've sold quite a few of these overseas already.
Yeah, I mean we've sold the ones that we've got. I mean, I think we have a couple left. And like I said, I mean, I appreciate you for allowing us to put our logo on your device. I want to make it clear to everybody out there that this is not a device that was designed or anything through Team Exalt. It was something that you and I have met months ago, and you gave me the privilege to play with one of the very first units, and um, uh, it was a unit that I was just like, you know what, this is a must have for us. Like I said, I mean,
Um, you got to be
um,
careful with
not
that, though.
what's that?
You got to be careful with that. I'm gonna warn anybody out there who's watching this, who's thinking about getting one. Once you know, you can't unknow.
Yeah, that's very true. That
You just can't not like it's gonna open your eyes to some of your batteries. You're gonna go, oh, yeah,
yes, that needs to be you need to get that printed as a yellow tag that you stick on, like the cable that
caution.
you connect to the unit. Because you are right. I mean, sadly enough, I mean, um, I'm very proud to say that the batteries that we've tested from one model, I mean, and that's another thing. I mean, basically, I always am known for having the goofy analogies and whatnot. I don't bring the technical data to the table like with the MOSFETs and stuff. But I mean, I've had a lot of people that have asked me, what do you charge? What do you discharge and such? And I just explained to them one thing. Um, think of it as a pitcher of water, or you got a pitcher and you just take and just dump a bunch of water in it. If you're going to get overflow and such, and you're not going to get that nice top off of a full pitcher. So it's always, a lot of people think that you got to pound the batteries hard, and that's where you achieve getting them hot. And realistically, all you're doing is just damaging the batteries in that sense. Um, the batteries are designed to be hit at a heavy discharge, not a heavy charge. And I've actually done some testing where I've with the battery wizard, um, where I've cycled a battery, got the data off of it, and then I pounded a battery at 20 amps, the same battery, and then I pounded the same model of the battery, another one at say 35 amps, and the cycle life definitely deteriorates much quicker, and you don't catch that on the naked eye of just charging the battery up. where you catch it is on the discharge, and you see how fast you hit those milestones and how fast your graph deteriorates down into the lower voltage. And I think that's where you're absolutely right. So this device is something that once you see it, you can't unsee it. You're gonna kind of get bit by the bug, you know.
Yep. That's now it's the first thing I do. I buy a battery. I put it on the battery wizard. I mean, I do like charge cycle. I charge all my batteries at 3C. I don't ever go above 3C. So I charge all my batteries at 3C. I put it on the battery wizard. I do a 20 amp cycle for 5 minutes. I do that a couple times, and then I'll do a 30 amp. Like I said, careful monitoring of the battery temperature, because if you're wanting comparisons, battery temperature has to start the same, right? It doesn't have to finish the same, but it has to start the cycle the same.
Well, I mean, I think here, because I mean, we definitely. I didn't mean to keep you on this long. I mean, I know we call it Power Hour, and we've definitely covered a lot of great information. I mean, I think the couple major things that people need to take from this is to establish comparative notes. Please make sure that your battery temperatures are comparable to each other. Don't don't take a 70-degree battery and a 90-degree battery and expect you're going to get comparative data, because unfortunately it's just not going to happen. And the battery wizard is definitely something that I think that for these companies or customers or racers that really want to be able to test their batteries and whatnot, this is a phenomenal unit for that. But if you don't follow the guidelines, this unit really is not. It doesn't matter how good or how hard you've worked at it. If you're not doing the prep work to make sure all the testing devices or the testing equipment, I'm sorry, not equipment, but the products that you're wanting to test are not comparative, well, then you're really you're wasting your time.
Sorry, I'm looking through the questions to see if there's anything else.
Yeah, I was kind of scrolling as well.
They like your background.
Well, I think we definitely nailed the backgrounds for sure. I mean, I love the colors of the purple and the black. I mean, obviously, my bodies have got purple, pink, and blue in them, so I'm very, very favorable to your background as well. And you're mobile, man. Like I said, you're driving. Yeah, I was just reading through. I apologize, guys. Andrew's been doing a better job of reading through the comments that I have. Yep, you answered a lot of these questions. Jason Ching on here saying hello.
Pain in the butt. Oh, sorry. Hi, Jason.
He's definitely a unique character, but everybody loves him.
He was a thorn. Yeah, he was a thorn. But this thing would have taken me another year to get done if he wasn't constantly sending me messages every week. Hey, how's it going? How's it doing? When's it going to be ready?
Oh, I mean, he messaged me last night and was like, "Hey, so what do you think of it?" I'm like, "It's good." And and as soon as I said it's good, he's like, "What can be done to make it better?"
Oh, yeah, I know. He's like,
and the thing is, yeah, and the thing is I haven't really got to this whole new role with Exalt. I don't get my hands on the technical side of things. I mean, I sit here and I listen to AJ working on the motors and stuff, and I kind of get jealous because I'm stuck behind a computer and I just keep gaining weight and don't really get to do the technical stuff like I got to do at Trinity so much. And he'll laugh at me because I'll get up and I'll start working around the shop, and realistically, I just sometimes I get in a mental stump where I got to get up and walk away and do stuff. and that's what I really enjoy. I enjoy getting my hands on the stuff. So, um, I mean, it could be dead silent in the shop, and I'll just grab a battery out of the shelf, and I'll grab a couple of them, and I'll get them to optimum temperature where they're all the same, and I'll start just cycling some batteries, And he's like, "Oh, what's going on?" I'm like, just want to, I love to acquire as much information as possible to help customers, not only to help them but help myself as well, because this market's getting more competitive by the day. I mean, there's a lot of brands out there that are just taking it and killing it and running with it, and then there's brands out there that you know people question what they do on a daily basis. So I definitely don't want to fall into that category. I want to fall into the category that we continue to push on a daily basis, and that's where getting the battery wizard for the battery side of things was a must for us. So we will eventually offer some kind of data spreadsheet that will share battery information like we do with our motors. I mean,
That's something I want to do. Um,
mhm,
Hard to do. I just don't have
yeah.
all the batteries.
Well, and that's where, like, you and I talked last night, and I got the data that you were asking for, and I need to get that over to you. Um, but like I said, I mean, I felt bad when we were talking earlier, and you're like, "Oh, hey, I'm driving." I'm like, "Oh, shoot." And we could have definitely rescheduled, but the fact that you and your wife did whatever you needed to do to make this happen, I genuinely appreciate it. I mean, um, those I mean, those are some driving forces that just get, they don't get the credit either, because those 90-hour work weeks, I know that she was getting neglected during that. So a
That's all
lot
right.
of us.
We've taken we've taken some dance lessons in the past couple weeks, and she's kind of like dragging me around to stuff. She's happy to see me for right now, you know.
Hey, well, I mean, I'll tell you right now, my wife, she's a person that when I don't travel, she's like, when you go out of town again, and then when I'm traveling week after week, she's like, I really wish you're home, and that lasts for like 1 week, you know, and she's like, oh, when are you going out of town again? So, um, definitely understand that. Oh man, so. But I mean, I honestly think, Andrew, I think that we nailed everything with the with the iCharger, with the battery wizard versus the iCharger. That seemed to be one of the biggest comparisons that I continuously kept getting, and it wasn't that I was trying to avoid it, but you and I had already arranged, doing this video and whatnot, and who else better is it to come from than the horse's mouth itself, So, um, I'm glad that a lot of these people chimed on. I know that I continuously see a lot of messages from Jim. Um, he's over in Australia, so the fact that he's chiming in right now, I appreciate it, Jim,
Oh,
um, and
what time is
whatnot.
it?
We've started establishing a lot of international exclusive distributorships, and he works very close with with our only Australian distributor, Speedy RC. So the fact that he jumped on, I appreciate it. He always is messaging and such, and wanting to get information or whatnot. So have racers like that representing the product that you work so hard to do, is a nice touch. AJ says he can't wait to get back to work to see that graphic on the back of the office window tomorrow. Well, I hate to say it, as soon as this video shuts off, so does that nice graphic. The sad thing is I had to put a graphic up here, because if not, you just see all the shops that we have behind us. When we moved into this unit, this is definitely, we love it. AJ and I both, we love it. We walk to lunch every day, but when we first found this place, it wasn't the most ideal place it's much different than it was from where we came from. So this graphic looks a lot better than a bunch of shops in the background. So I'm looking at Joe Finn. Joe Finn's always got a lot of great comments and great questions. He's an educated mind that loves to learn. So love to always see him on. Did you see any other questions that you kind of needed to touch on? Jason Chang, got to keep improving at all times.
I don't think I see anything else.
Yeah, Bill Osborne commented Bluetooth. We've already touched on that. I mean, it's really easy to tell you, Andrew, make Bluetooth.
Make Bluetooth, absolutely. Make Bluetooth. And make an app for iPhones and Androids and Windows and something else, so you can connect it to everything in the world, and then it's got a print too. Actually, so my original intent was to do Bluetooth on it, but like I said, I ran out of program storage space on it. I couldn't go any farther with it without redesigning it and going back to scratch. So, I mean, yeah, there's a possibility that down the road in the future there'll be a V2. We're not talking tomorrow though. We're talking, I got to have some time. That one, 2-3 years, something like that, maybe more. I don't know. I can't answer for certainty, right? If I do a V2 though, I promise it'll have Bluetooth.
Well, and you said something that I want to elaborate on, because from a customer's perspective, people can twist things however they want to, but for everyone out there listening, we were talking about it earlier, and Andrew had basically stated that it wasn't something that was based off of laziness or time or anything. It was based off of, you didn't want the customers to feel that purchase this unit to feel that you're already trying to push that unit out of their hands where they have to buy another one. And I think from a manufacturing standpoint, that's huge, because
you want to buy
that
deep be the thing for a little while, right?
Yeah, because that if you do that, people are going to jump and they're going to buy. Those that want it are going to do whatever they need to do, and whatnot. So it's not from a lack of care or anything like that. It's from the exact opposite. You don't want to push these units out of people's hands as they're just now getting them in and whatnot. So I mean, I kind of just wanted to touch on that because I'm the same way. I really love to see the customers enjoy this hobby, and it's not that we're not working, to be competitive. You got to be working around the clock. It's just sometimes those products don't come to tuition the next day. It takes time.
I'm assuming Teddy wants to know when you're getting an ESC, because I'm not making one for a while.
Yeah, so that's been that's probably been one of the most talked about comments since Exalt has come to surface as ESC, and it's definitely something that we're working on, but it's not something that we're just jumping on to tell Teddy, hey, we got an ESC for you. The sources out there are very limited, and some of the sources are, in my opinion, overutilized, and you can go from one brand to another and the interfaces and everything migrate together and such. And we definitely don't want to offer just a unit like that. So we've been working really hard with multiple vendors, and I think we've got something on the horizon. No ETA yet, nothing that far into it, but like we were talking about it, it's not that we have not been working on it or in doing our diligence to pursue the product. It's that we're taking our time so that when we do have a product to offer, it's something that we can stand behind proudly, and and know that the customer is going to like what they have in their hands. Because at the end of the day, we're all racers. You're a racer. I'm a racer. So, we still have that racer mentality. It's just now we have other people that we got to factor in when we do that kind of stuff. So, like I said, I mean, for me, RC is much bigger than an income. There's, you know, a lot of friendships that are established, and I'm proud to say publicly that you and I have established a friendship. I think what you've done with the Battery Wizard is phenomenal, and I really can't wait to see what you pursue in the future. You know, but I think that you got a nice co-pilot right there that probably you got to spend a little bit of time with before you even think about the next project. Because if it comes out as great as the Battery Wizard, it's going to be pretty awesome. You know, so I
Yeah,
mean, I
yeah.
definitely appreciate you taking the time. Sorry, what were you saying, bud?
Oh, I must have lost my connection. I said,
No, you went
yeah.
through a bad spot.
Are you there?
Yep, yep, I can hear you now, bud. Sorry.
Sorry. I was just saying yes, thank you, and yeah, yes, we have developed a friendship, and I hope that does last. You know, as long as we're in
Oh,
this business,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, that was one of the biggest things that, you know, I mean, I'm not real close with a lot of the guys from J Concepts, but I remember when I got into this, Jason Rona was just creating J Concepts, and so for me to be, you know, in the same scenario, so I kind of use my memory to think back to where Jason started and this and that, and you know, it's easy to jump into this when you've got you know, a large entity, a large group of friends. But as those friends, I mean, I just had a really close friend, Jeremy Riley, just up and quit RC, and it affected me pretty hard. Where, um, you know, I mean, the guy's an asshole. He is, you know, but I love him. You know, he's got a heart of gold. He really does. But he's also got that mindset of, you know, you don't like how I think. Oh well, kind of deal. You know, so you know, but you see these friends that you make come and go, and it does make it a lot harder. So to establish friendships with people that are in this for the long haul, it is definitely nice because this is a stressful hobby. Not only to to racing, but to working, you know?
Yeah,
So, you
I
know,
do. I did not realize. I did not realize what went behind. You know what went on behind the closed doors of you know RC businesses, and until I started doing this, and it's a lot. It's a lot more than the average RC racer can even begin. Yeah, I mean it's just a lot more there.
yeah.
A lot of hours, a lot of hours, a lot of, and you're constantly like trying to brainstorm ideas.
Mhm.
It's tiresome.
Oh, it is, and right when you're ready to go to bed, a lot of your vendors are waking up and they're ready to talk, you know, talk shop. So, sleep becomes a very minimal product of relaxation and necessity. You know, but that's why you got to surround yourself with great customers and great racers. And I mean, I say it all the time. I'm not going to say we have the best team, but I wouldn't change our team for anything because they're the motivating factor that keeps pushing and whatnot. And you know, when you work as hard as they do, you can only do the same in return for them. You know, so um, and that's where, like I said, establishing a friendship with you and such. I you know I'm deeply appreciated and carry it, you know, much deeper than what a lot of people think. So I definitely appreciate you jumping on here, taking the time away from your travels with your wife and such. And I'm more amazed that you were able to just get on this long and not lose service.
Yeah, you know, a couple of hiccups there, but yeah,
I'm very mild hiccups. I honestly expected to lose you a time or two. I mean, I used to do a lot of these with Dakota, and he'd be in his house, and he would lose signal in his house. I've lost signal in my house. So for you to be traveling and not lose signal with us, I mean, uh, I you got, I'm pretty impressed with that.
So
So
before I kind of dive off here, does anybody else have any other questions? Anything else that I haven't touched on that they want to know?
Bluetooth.
And that's a demand.
Right. I mean, Jason, I'm challenging Jason Chang to keeping Andrew on the Bluetooth. Andrew's like, I thought we were
Oh,
friends.
thanks.
Oh lordy! While Jason's jumping from one plane to another.
All right, my
Yeah,
wife's
I
saying
mean,
that my wife's saying that I need to end this now. So
no, you're good. You're good, bud. It looks like we got all the questions pretty much answered. I got a couple other things that I'm gonna go over with some of the guys. So I definitely appreciate you getting on, taking the time, and maybe hopefully maybe down the road we can do another one of these videos, and it might be something that you know, with some time we get a little bit more detailed questions, because this is also so new to everybody, including myself.
all right, thanks for having me,
So
Kevin, and thanks everybody
yeah,
out
no,
there.
I appreciate it, bud.
All right,
I
I love
appreciate it.
you.
You drive safe, and we'll stay in touch.
All right.
All right, have a good night, bud. All right, guys. So sorry about that. Like I said, um, that was Andrew. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his last name because I am terrible with that. But I appreciate him getting on and um, explaining the battery wizard. We use it a lot here at Team Exalt, and it's simply just to basically just keep the great products that we're trying to push. You know, there's a lot of great companies out there that offer great products and such. So I'm not going to sit here and push that one's better than another, but I am going to push that. I know what we put behind our products, and I know that we are always trying to elevate and take it to the next level. And I'm sure the other manufacturers out there are doing the same thing. As we were talking, I was kind of writing down some notes that uh, I'm going to kind of, you know, do a little bit more detail, and maybe it's something that we could talk about at a much later show, um, and whatnot. But we did, as you can see, I got the new Stars and Stripes Exalt shirt on. They did show up. They are in stock. Unfortunately, the demand for this shirt was much higher than I highly anticipated, so we had to place multiple orders. So they are available in selected sizes. We do have a one more batch coming in that we're hoping to see at the beginning of the week next week. As we stated, I will put it into fine print so that the contest details are cut and dry. There's no hearsay, but we basically was something that we just kind of threw together, and you know, I love to see customers enjoy what they do. Like I said, this for me once upon a time was just a hobby, and it's turned into a job that you know, supports my family. So for that, I remember those days that I loved repping brands and such, and you know, I want to see Exalt grow into a brand that not only my family loves to push, but also the racers. That's, like I said, the team drivers to me are much more than just drivers. They all of them bring something to the table, and I couldn't be happier to have them all. Publicly, got to give a huge shout out Mason Fuller. He the last couple races has really elevated and taken himself to what I consider a proven top tier pro. So Mason, congratulations to you, to your father, to Sarah and your brother. I really think that what the Fullers have in store is going to be pretty awesome. While we're talking about batteries, one of the things that Mason has stressed to me is that our batteries in the 8 scale market have been superb. They have very little fall off, not only for just the 4S 8 scale program, but one of the biggest things I feel that is something I always wanted to design an ESC that has the same input, or design an ESC that has your constant input power, but you would always feel the fall off or the fade, if that's what you want to call it, on the output power. And I always thought it would be great for a company to design an ESC that, as the battery deteriorates in voltage or decreases in voltage, that it put out the same amount of power on the output side. And that's something that hasn't been done. But with some of our X-rated batteries, a lot of the racers have come to us, giving us feedback that basically they're not seeing any fall off at all. So from modified two wheel to 8 scale, we're seeing a really good consistency of power throughout the whole run. So that kind of is a testament to devices like the Battery Wizard and other factors as well. So but back to the contest, one of the things that we wanted to do was we're going to run a contest, and like I said, I will put it in detail, but we're between now and the 4th of July, we want to see you guys post pictures at the track in your Stars and Stripes shirt, and we are going to log the customers' names, and we're going to put them into an automatic drawing, and 2 of the customers will win a motor and a battery, and we will do a live video of that, so that you can see that it's 100% pure, no rigging, no nothing. A lot of the people now are using apps and stuff to do that, so we're going to do that. So go ahead, post on the Exalt page you wearing your shirts at events, promoting not only RC but the Exalt brand. And come 4th of July, we will crown 2 winners products, and we'll get that to you. Like I said, I will put that in writing for you guys. And I've been getting some Facebook messages, but kind of have went past the 1 hour, so I'm going to skim through the questions real quick and answer those. And like always, we'll go back to the questions at the end, and I will reach out to you guys, and we'll go from there. So most of the questions pertaining to battery charging and stuff have been answered. Andrew, Shane Abrico. Cal Stallworth says that loads the shirts, but we need to see black polos. Izzy, was great seeing you earlier. He came by the shop, dropped in to check out the office and other stuff. So it was great seeing you, bud. Shane Abrico was asking. So Shane, as soon as I jump off here, I'm actually going to be talking to a lot of the vendors. I will get back to you with an exact ETA on those, but tentatively, it looks like we should hopefully see those next week. And I'll get more definitive answer for you. and get back to you either tonight or first thing in the morning. But I appreciate everybody for jumping on. We're going to try to do these more regularly. If you guys got any topics or targeted areas that you'd like for us to elaborate on, send us a message or whatnot, and we'll definitely jump on that. I appreciate everybody for y'all support. It is definitely appreciated. Jim, do me a favor. I have gotten with all of our international distributors and given them the opportunity to utilize that for them. Something that we won't sell here in the States. It'd be only for your country. And I will get with Speedy and we'll go from there. But I am definitely good with that. So I appreciate you all. Have a great night. And man, it'll be the weekend before we know it. So sorry, a couple questions popped in last minute. Just want to make sure. So I appreciate you guys for jumping on tonight. We will we'll do these more regular, and have a good evening.